everybody. Welcome back to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday. We are officially in September, which means the Book of Boba Fett is technically 3 months from now, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. And then from there, it's going to kick off just this bevy of Star Wars content in 2022, including Celebration, a lot of stuff. So we're getting very excited over here in TRB, but thanks for joining us. Here where today we're going to talk a little bit about one of those upcoming Disney Plus series. Probably not going to be out in 2022, but it's coming, and it's the Ahsoka series. We're going to talk about, is the meeting finally going to happen? Are we going to see Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka face to face, and is that going to happen in a live action Star Wars Disney Plus show? Holy cow, what a time to be a Star Wars fan. With me as always, Lacey Gillerin, James Bainey. What's going on? How you guys doing? September, fall time. I know Lacey's a big fall person.
I am.
So are you excited? And do you clean your own leaves, or does Matt do it, or do you guys have a guy come?
We got a guy.
You got a guy. I figured because you don't even do your own lawn.
Who's your
right?
leaf guy?
We do. We have a landscaper. Yeah. So
Big
there
time,
are some
big time Gillerin.
No, there are some things in life that people decide to use their life energy and value on. And about, I would say, 4 or 5 years ago, I was at a conference for work and I got a phone call from Matt, and he was like, "So this guy wants to do our lawn for this much. He does all the houses on the street. Can we please do this?" and the desperation in his voice was like, "Yes, we can do it. It's fine." Because he just, the way he sees it is like, he owns his own business. He works from home, and every hour or minute he's spending outside mowing the lawn is moments that he's not spending working. So we made the trade-off. It's not too bad. We budget for it accordingly, but it's one of those things that's, marriage is about compromise, and he really wanted this. So I said, yeah, it makes sense. As for fall, I want to thank everybody out there that's been tagging me in fall drink things like Starbucks pumpkin spice lattes which I was like, I don't know if I should be flattered because it's so wonderful, or like, oh, Lacey's basic, let's tag her in all these things. But I will take both.
I think it's dumb to call people basic over things that are just good.
Just good, yeah.
Oh, you like hot chocolate? Basic.
No, I'm just laughing at the white girl basic thing because pumpkin spice lattes. But
I get it.
Look, I accept that title because pumpkin stuff, apple things are absolutely delicious. I already have lit my apple cider candles in my house, so my house smells like apple cider. That is lit. You're right.
Oh.
So it smells like apple cider. And I'm that freak that will go into Home Goods and buy them all up. So when you see that girl that has the cart with like 12 apple cider candles or like digs through the whole display, that's me. You're welcome.
Have you ever had the cider donut holes from Blue Jay Orchards?
No, but I've had them from Stu Leonard's. I actually live very close to Blue Jay Orchards.
Go there, get those this fall, and you're going to be an even bigger fall person. I'm just saying.
You know what's really funny? I actually have never been apple picking. Ever.
Oh, you gotta go. You gotta go.
I've never been.
Yeah.
I've never been.
All right, let's do it. Patreon. Let's go.
Oh my.
I went orange picking once.
Oh, that sounds fun. Just because I've never heard of someone going orange picking. Because Northeast, it's always apple picking.
Yeah.
Pumpkin picking, apple picking.
Yeah. I've
James,
been pumpkin picking, I guess, but not really pumpkin picking. More like they have a pile of pumpkins.
They throw them in a field and then make you go get it.
Sharpie numbers on them that say the price, and I'm like, I've done that.
You're not cutting vines.
That's my favorite. They're like, it's picking, and you're like, well, it's really I'm paying you to do the work to go get it.
Yeah, picking as in like I'll have that one.
James, are you a fall guy? Is fall one of your favorite seasons?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I like.
I know you're
the
huge
weather.
into football, so yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, it's funny, man. I was in marching band, and it wasn't even till like a month into the season
Matt
that I was
in marching
like,
band. He talks about,
oh, we're like playing for the football games. I get it.
Yeah.
Like I just had like zero clue what was going on. I was not paying any attention to what was happening on the fields or whatever.
Amazing.
But no, I definitely like fall because I like fire, and I like the weather temperature, as far as like grabbing a
sweatshirt
hoodie.
weather is my favorite weather.
And stuff like that.
And
I definitely love
Han Solo
s'mores.
season. You ever see that meme?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
what?
With the boots.
Of all the girls, they're all wearing
equestrian
the
boots
black vests.
with the vests. Yeah. It's true.
It's Han Solo season.
It's true.
But you know what though? I do agree with you about the fire pits and stuff, James. I do like doing that. But fall to me now kind of feels like Star Wars season because that's when they've been putting everything out, except Solo, of course, which is a big mistake. But so I don't know. Fall for me. Fall is Star Wars season. I don't know why that is. Maybe that's.
I mean, we're getting Visions at the end of this month. We're getting
when all the big trailers would come out for the
Halloween
movies.
Things. Yeah.
It's at least when it starts, because I think of it as winter. I think of that as like December, like the Christmas
Holiday
season
time,
is when, But it is a good point because it's the like when Black Friday hits. That's right around the Thanksgiving time. That's when you see a lot of the final trailers and things like that. When everybody's talking about
baby time
watching
for
them
me
during the games. Yeah.
Oh yes, this is gonna be a big fall for you.
It is.
I hope you don't fall.
Big.
Well, I hope not.
Yeah. True. That word has more than one meaning.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
Didn't mean
James.
to trip you guys up.
Oh, it's okay.
No. Oh, I get it. Oh, I see what you did there.
James! I thought you were being genuine. I was like, it's okay, don't worry about it. Where's my pumpkin spice
had
latte?
the reaction. Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh, that's so sincere. Thanks, buddy. Oh, yeah.
James is never
Because I hate getting
sincere.
tripped up when I'm trying to, do this. But, all right, James, we have to get into the show here, right? So let's waste not, want not. Let's hop in.
I fear nothing, for all this, as the Force wills it.
We're doing Will of the Force this week, but I do want to take a second really quick and say that if you like the pod and support what we do here, please consider becoming a patron of TRB. Just go to patreon.com/resistance broadcast and take a look at the tiers, which start at just $2. The support we get from Patreon allows the three of us to keep making high-quality podcasts twice a week and sometimes even more. In addition to everything else we do, there's live streams, we attend events on occasion, we design merchandise, create bonus videos, etc., etc., etc. There's so much there. It also secures the future of the podcast and allows us to continue to grow. So if you want to, if you are able to, please support us. Thank you. It means a lot. This week we are kicking off Will of the Force with a patron submission. This one specifically coming from the tippity top spice runner, Ryan Wara. Ryan wanted to know, will we see more of Ben Solo and his fall to the dark side and rise in the First Order outside of a comic or novel? Is there any chance outside of a comic or novel that we're getting more Ben Solo? Is the basic there? Lacey, since you are basic apparently.
I thought you were going to say because you love Ben Solo, but yes, I am both of those things.
No, I'm just kidding. What are your thoughts on Ryan's question here?
I'm Ben Solo basic. Ryan, I like to think that you asked this question for me. Like I see you. I see you, Ryan. But the thing is that you're hurting me in such a way because my answer is not one that I want to give, which is I don't think we will, not in the immediate future. I think Ben Solo sadly perished in The Rise of Skywalker. And then they did do the comic run with Charles Soule. I think that was the, hey, you want to know more about Ben Solo? Here you go. And I think that they're going to kind of stay away from that character for a little bit, as we've seen with a lot of the sequel trilogy characters, just because that just ended recently. I am on the side of give me more of that. I loved the sequel trilogy. I love those characters. I want to know more. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. But again, I'm the person that wished he didn't die to begin with. So thanks, Ryan.
John, do you have any thoughts on Ben Solo showing up outside of a comic or novel?
A few different things are leaning me to one path, and that is an animated series. One of which being Mark Hamill is an excellent voice actor. He's done a lot of animated voice acting. Tipped off like at the top shelf by his Joker.
Yeah,
from
he's the
Batman
best
the Animated
Joker.
Series. Yeah, his laugh is just unmatched. But also thinking, I said a few things were pointing me in this direction. The other one being just Lucasfilm animation. Filoni is clearly promoted and not at the helm anymore in terms of what the future of the animated shows is. It seems like there's a transition, like with Bad Batch, where he's still a creator, did the first episode, kind of like a handing of the baton to the rest of the crew. Forgive me that I forgot the showrunners' names, but you get my point. Eventually, we have to move away from that storytelling with the clones and that sort of thing. And we have Bad Batch season 2 coming. Who knows how long that goes? There needs to be more Star Wars animation. We have Visions. I don't know if that's going to be a recurring thing. It looks like they have the 9 shorts. Individual stories for that. I don't know if that's a special thing or they're going to keep that going, but that's not canon. In terms of canon, Star Wars animated storytelling, we don't know what they're going to do. There's been a lot of talk about how come they're not exploring the time between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. This would be a perfect opportunity to do that. I don't know whether you're going to get Adam Driver to voice Ben Solo. I doubt it. But you can get Mark Hamill to play Luke Skywalker, and a lot of people would really love that. And I think it'd be a good way to tell that story of him training Ben and us getting that sort of like how we got another vantage point of Obi-Wan and Anakin with the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. You can do that with these two in an animated series, and I think that'd be a compelling watch for a lot of people, even if Adam Driver's not involved. And you can, get someone in to play Leia, and you can maybe get a little more of Luke and Leia that people were missing in the sequel trilogy. Maybe even a little Han, you know what I'm saying? So I think that could be a very compelling idea for an animated series. It doesn't have to be 7 seasons or anything like that, but even if it's a 1 special season or 2, pop that on Disney Plus. I think everyone's watching that thing.
Yeah, John, I don't know if you remember, but I came up with that idea a long time ago.
I just took it.
Yeah,
I just took it.
Well,
I remember that because I had said that I didn't want it. That's why I remember
I've somewhat abandoned the idea as far as the logic of I think they're going to do that. That makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. This also was pre The Mandalorian and bringing Mark Hamill back and having him be so involved. Now that I was kind of for instance, I think this might have even been discussed, around The Last Jedi, which was around the time where you're well, Mark's maybe not on the best terms right now. So, but the animated thing, if they end up doing it, I think that is the best way to do it. The other option I would think here would probably be a video game. I think that they could go down that route with a video game because you could have
his rise and fall.
You could have multiple, you could tell that story and really flesh it out in a video game setting. You could bring in new characters. You could even maybe play as Ben Solo and have him
I love that.
Make
I didn't
choices
even think that.
And things. Yeah, you could go through that process if they really wanted to do it. I still think that in the near future, neither one of those things happens, though, unfortunately. I think both of them are good ideas, but and probably the best way to handle that era between him, because Adam Driver is the age that he is, the star that he is. You know what I mean?
Right,
There's a lot going into that. It's going to be hard to tell it, but it is a property that they probably should tap into. It's if we make this character and do more content with this character, it will sell. So it makes sense. I just don't know. Maybe they got something better on their minds. Maybe they got something else.
Or they have a little reservations as to how riled up certain people get over that character. I don't know if they want to rip that Band-Aid off again. You know what I mean? Or that scab off.
I mean, the thing is they could say they're wanting to do either one of these. They can get Adam Driver years down the line to voice the character. He's going to be around for a very long time. The Mark Hamill thing is he's an older person, so it's it's hard to tell. But I think if they really wanted to do this project, they can kind of play it by ear. If he does happen to pass in some time, it's not the end of the world. You can still have somebody do the voice and you could still move forward with that project. But while the way that it is right now, it probably makes the most sense that we'll just wait it out. Let Mark do his live action stuff and all this. There's a lot going on with him right now in Star Wars. So we'll hold off on this project. And when we want to reinvigorate the ideas behind like an episode 10 or Disney Plus stories revolving around those characters, when we want to bust that sequel trilogy up again, that's probably when they might do something along those lines. Moving on to the next question. Alan Tudyk said he is not in it, but will K2SO be a surprise reveal in the final episode of season 1 of Andor? John, what do you think? Lacey, what do you think? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's like what's that Christina Aguilera line? Like my body says yes, but my heart says no, or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no. I'd be pleasantly surprised, but I kind of believe what he said. So I don't know that he was pulling the wool over our eyes. I'm just gonna say I don't think so.
It's my body's saying let's go, but my heart is saying no.
That's what it
Well
was.
done, James. Pulling those lyrics. Isn't that Genie in a Bottle?
It is. No.
Well, yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Well done.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my goodness. Forget who are you. Let's do lyrics with James. Oh my God.
Lacey, what are your thoughts on Christina Aguilera, as John said it?
That is one of the best things you've ever done on this show. I have to agree with John. I don't think it will happen. I think that when he did talk about how he wasn't going to be in season 1, there was disappointment there. Like you could hear in his voice that he was like, well, it's not really happening. And I just flashed back to D23 where they brought him out on stage. Like that must have been super disappointing for him. He loves that character. He made that character. And we've heard from John Knoll about how, because he's so good at improving in comedy, that made K2SO who he is. So it is. That was what, and I know, James, you felt this way too. Like that was one of the biggest things I was looking forward to with Andor was K2SO.
Yeah, it was kind of surprising when
yeah.
pulled
So
that.
I don't think he's lying. I don't think he's pulling a Liam Neeson being like, I don't know, guys. Like I think he is genuinely like, don't look forward to, like, I'm not in it. But I can't wait to see him in the next season.
So my thought is, and I actually hadn't really thought too much about it until this question came up, but I'm actually going to disagree with you guys, and I think he is going to be a surprise reveal.
Oh,
at the end of
wow.
season
Okay.
1. And the reason I think this might actually happen is because, number one, Alan Tudyk is a funny guy.
He is.
I think he would enjoy the bit, and he would enjoy playing the, like, I'm not in it kind of thing.
Oh, wait, hold on. Before you get into this, do you think Disney would get mad at people if they said they weren't in something when they were? Like, you know how they would get mad, obviously, if you leaked something or spoiled something, where you're like, yeah, I'm in it, and then they're like, oh, why'd you say? Do you think they could get a call the other direction? Like, where this is a situation where they announced he was in it, they were like, he's coming back, he's in the role, and then he's like, nah,
His
I'm not
manager
in it.
might.
But I'm just wondering if Disney would have the
booked you for
reaction of like, why would you do that?
Well, look, here's the thing is I think that I think that the large majority of the story is true, that he was involved heavily from the beginning. They announced him, and then something changed, and now he is not heavily involved.
Sure.
But I think that if you can under-promise, which is he's not in the show, and over-deliver surprise appearance at the end,
Oh my God, I love it.
then you already have the audience thinking he's not in it, and when he shows up at the end, it's a big surprise.
Gotcha.
However, if they kept to the wording of, we had a bunch of script changes and things, but he's still in it, so let's not say he's not in it. And then he's only in the show for that last episode, in the little final bit, then it will feel like
Disappointment.
we got lied to.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
That
You're totally
he was
right.
supposed to be in it, and you sold us on he was in it, and he's technically in it, but what a ripoff.
Right.
So I think they just leaned in. We kind of rewrote it. he's not in it, but then they will wink and show us the end, season 2 coming soon, and K2 is back. Boom, final episode surprise.
As I understand it, they couldn't meet his cost to come into season 1. He's probably got a high price tag, and I actually have a quote here from Alan Tudyk that he apparently said to Disney if you want to get me the show, he said, if you want to be with me, baby, there's a price to pay. And that's what he said. And they couldn't pay.
Is that really why you were looking at your phone the whole time and not listening to James' excellent point?
I was not looking at my phone once. My phone's over there.
Why James is trying to get his point.
I thought he was going to go with like K2S Mo money or something like that.
Oh, jeez.
No, that is none of that was true about the beginning where, as you understand, it was the money thing, right? Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, because you could definitely say, we'll just do like one shot at the end, or price tag or whatever.
Yeah, they had enough money to pay him to play Steve the Pirate, but Disney doesn't have enough money to pay him.
Imagine if they said like he'll
really
return in season K2.
Oh yeah,
yeah, just bold the 2. Yeah,
that would be good. But no, I imagine you guys said no, I said yes, but I imagine we would all be surprised and very happy if he did show up at the end of season 1. So we'll move on from that question. The next one is, will Lucasfilm?
Jason, what if like a script leaks and it's like, and Cassie meets up with his droid friend Plo Koon.
Yeah,
that's the new just fill in. It's like
it's always just Plo Koon.
It's like The Office with Dwigged.
Yeah,
Dwigged. Yeah, that's right. Oh man.
All right, the next question is, will Lucasfilm confirm Donald Glover is returning as Lando for the Lando series before the end of 2021? Lacey, you're going first on this one. Any thoughts on the confirmation of Donald Glover returning as Lando?
This is a great question, because honestly, I've forgotten about the Lando series because they haven't confirmed him. And that day when they announced it, the Investor Day last year, when they were like, oh, we're doing this, everyone was like, wow. And they're like, more details soon. And you're like, okay, but who's in it? And like Billy D was retweeting it and stuff, but you're like, but they didn't confirm him or Donald Glover. I'm going to say they will confirm him before the end of the year. And I think they're going to confirm him probably on that Disney Plus day. I think that's going to be awesome. I think that's going to be the update they give, because we kind of joked a little bit, or kind of said that, hey, some of the Star Wars updates will be new stuff, but they'll also just be giving updates on current projects. I think that's an update that they could give that fans would be excited about.
Can't wait to watch Disney Plus day and have my heart ripped out of my chest again.
But maybe you'll get K2 season K.
That's the dream.
Well, John, do you think you're getting Donald Glover returning as Lando before the end of the year?
I mean, Lacey makes a great point about the Disney Plus day. I think they do need to reveal more details about existing projects and announce new projects instead of just saying like, hey, just a reminder, the Ahsoka series is coming. So that, I was gonna say no, but you are swaying me a little bit, but I'm still saying I don't think we're gonna get that confirmation. Never happens. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, guys. I don't have a good feeling about this series. Like, I'm almost under the impression that they announced it to make it seem like it's a Donald Glover live action series, and it's not.
I could agree with that. I totally agree with that statement, actually.
I think there's something fishy about the fact that they didn't announce it with him.
Donald, yeah. Or him's doing it. Imagine him walking out next to her to announce it. You'd have been like, oh, I'm in.
Yeah, and I also kind of get the impression, too, that the Investor Day thing was a Disney forcing their hand on Lucasfilm.
Yes.
Like, if Lucasfilm had their own say in things, they would not have announced all that stuff.
Nope.
They would have kept it close to the chest.
We said that too because we felt like it was like Marvel had all these announcements and Disney was like, well, Lucasfilm, and they're like,
and
going through the notebook.
As much as you say they need a little something extra to say other than just a reminder the Ahsoka series is coming, when has that ever stopped Disney? That's all they're going to say. We are 3 months from Book of Boba Fett and we have nothing towards it. We probably won't even get a look at it at all until about a month before the show exists. So casting Donald Glover this far in advance or giving an update on a show that seemingly is like 2023 or possibly even beyond that, I think no chance that it gets
I could see that because they have so much coming in the next.
That specific update. Yeah.
There's so much coming in the next year. Like they don't need to. I get that.
Yep. Last one here for Will of the Force is: will we see Luke Skywalker in another live-action lightsaber duel? John, you actually came up with the discussion this week, and I could see how you alluded to it. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm gonna say yes. I think we are gonna see in the midst of some initial confusion, Ahsoka and Luke clashing lightsabers, because why the hell not? And I know a lot of fans apparently over the weekend. I don't really go on social media on the weekends, but apparently a lot of people were like having actual fights about which character would win, which two fictional characters would win. But I think that'd be pretty cool. And if they're able to bring Luke back, and we saw him work his lightsaber in Mando, and that was cool. Give the guy one more round. Let Mark Hamill clash some sabers with somebody one more time. Why not, right? And it would be pretty damn cool if it was him and Ahsoka, without realizing who was who, and there's heightened a curiosity of who this person is or something like that, and then they realize, oh, wait, you're his son, or something like that. So I think that'd be kind of cool. So I'm gonna say yes, just out of let's do it. Why not?
Throwing it into the universe. Lacey, what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna say yes, but I'm not gonna say why because we're just gonna talk about it right after this.
That's a good point. And I'm actually gonna say no. I think just a little bit on the side of potentially kind of how Andrew Staley's Padres last was like using him too much.
Great point.
I'm a little scared of the possibility that if they really focus on that meeting up too much, it has a potential to kind of pull away from The Mandalorian, as that it is their show. But I don't know. It's hard to say because a lightsaber duel or a quick little clashing of sabers is it doesn't have to be crazy. So, but I'm going to go with no. I think they're going to focus on using him very sparingly and not trying to give him too much of a highlight.
All right.
That's it for Will of the Force then. John,
right.
We can just move right into discussion.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
Yeah, so the discussion, as we said at the top, why Luke Skywalker should appear in the Ahsoka series, or maybe why he shouldn't, I don't know. But fans have been waiting for this meeting, at least, between Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker for years. Is it finally going to happen? The apprentice of Anakin Skywalker and the son of Anakin Skywalker. Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka both appeared in The Mandalorian Season 2, but they didn't cross paths. But will something finally bring them together in Ahsoka's series? So let's speculate on how Favreau and Filoni would work this from a story perspective, and also just how we think fans, including ourselves, would react to seeing that meeting take place in live action Star Wars. So I'm going to start kind of piggybacking off of what I said in the last segment about how their initial meeting could be. Maybe it could be a confrontational misunderstanding type of thing, and we get that sort of like clashing of the lightsabers standoff type of thing, because now it's premier top of his game Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano, who's also at the top of her game. That could be a very cool introduction that way. Whether it's over Grogu or not, who knows? But
yeah.
I do think this meeting needs to happen. People have been waiting for it for a while. I think there'd be this weird void left if they never ended up doing it. And kind of like my thoughts on, while I still respect it and love it very much, the Maul Kenobi done in Rebels thing, I think this is the opportunity to get it done on the big enchilada here and do the live action meeting between Ahsoka and Luke. I think there could be some really compelling scene there. So that's my starting point, and also just the fact that Ahsoka, they already had her connect with Grogu in The Mandalorian. I don't think that was just because. And then obviously Luke goes off with Grogu, so maybe this revolves around Grogu, and that's how we loop him back in here somehow. I'm not really sure. We can maybe bounce ideas off each other, but I think this is the right opportunity to get this meeting done between Ahsoka and Luke. The only thing, and I want to hear what you guys think about this, I'm actually going to throw it back to James real quick, is if this Ahsoka series is being built up that it's going to have Thrawn and Ezra and maybe Sabine, how much storytelling can they do if that's going to be this big thing hovering over the story here? So I don't know. I'm actually very unsure about how they're going to do it, but I know I think they should do it in live action. So James, what do you think on that in general? And my question to you is, do you think that whole Rebels sequel element of it makes it less likely that we're going to see Luke and Ahsoka?
The interesting thing to me is coming at it from the angle of why Luke Skywalker should appear in the Ahsoka series, because when I think about this confrontation happening, I actually think of it as happening in The Mandalorian because it involves Grogu. So that's kind of where my perspective on will we see Luke Skywalker in another live-action lightsaber duel comes from, is I'm thinking having these two characters show up and really make this big impact in the middle of Mandalorian's story is great and cool, but if it gets too wild, then you really start pulling away from all that stuff. Like Ahsoka showing up was good, but when I think of that episode, I still think of Mandalorian in the city, doing his whole thing and going through the whole process of trying to hunt her down and all that other stuff. I still think of all that. It definitely starts to get a little more interesting when you start to consider how many other places that event could happen, including the Ahsoka series. But if I had to choose, I still think this probably likely happens in The Mandalorian, mostly because of what you're proposing, that the Ahsoka series to me is going to be after she gets a good lead and goes off to do that thing. That's what that show's going to be about. She's going to be over here. And right now, it seems like, unless they want to wait like a long time down the road, maybe they want to wait till that big crossover event that happens where all the characters are showing up or whatever, that could be an opportunity to do this. But I feel like that's another like Avengers style thing where like all these things are going on. To have that meeting take place there might be a little strange too, but I just have always pictured this in my head as when inevitably Luke meets back up with the Mandalorian, Ahsoka would also be there somehow in some way, shape, or form. She would be around, and I picture it with the campfire and all this stuff, and he's in the shade. There's obviously tons of fan art, but the one that always sticks out to me is like there's like a piece where Ahsoka is in her hood and she's holding up a hologram of young Anakin and like Luke and Leia's like holding like a baby, and they're all standing there like in the Falcon cockpit and they're all smiling. Yeah, it's like, it's crazy. Like it's so real to me that this is probably the two biggest characters who have never met, who absolutely need to meet for so many reasons. And there's no way that it doesn't happen in live action in my head. I just, like,
all right, that's interesting.
Like, there's things going on in the galaxy, but really nothing's going on. The Empire was kind of defeated at this period. Nothing happens really until the Force Order comes up. It's just like, there's no reason that these two Jedi or former Jedi or however you want to refer to them haven't at some point, being so close to the rebellion and everything, have, met. So it's just, it has to happen. It has to happen.
So you're saying it has to happen, but maybe not in her series. So Lacey, what do you think? What's your take on this? Do you want the meeting to? Is it like it's got to be live action, kind of like how we're both saying? And do you think the Ahsoka series is the one, or are you with James where maybe it's somewhere else? Like, where are you at with this whole thing?
So I don't know if I'm with James that it has to be something else. I understand that there's so much going on, or so much being built up for the Ahsoka series with all these characters, that you're like, how many characters are they going to throw in here? Kind of like Mandalorian season 2, where you're like, how many more appearances are there going to be? But I know years ago, James said that I'm pretty sure it was probably right after, maybe it was last year, right after they announced the Ahsoka series, that James was definitely like, this is it, guys. This is the opportunity that they could bring these two characters together. Because every time
so maybe I've kind of changed my mind, but showing up of him in the show now.
Right, because years prior we had questions of like what two characters should meet up, and you have always said Luke and Ahsoka. I can't believe they haven't met yet, and they hint at things in the comics, and you're like, does this mean it's finally gonna happen? So when the Ahsoka series got announced, that was your first reaction of being like, it could happen. So do I think it will happen in Ahsoka? I think it will. I absolutely do. I think we had a really good conversation about this, if you guys haven't heard it yet, on the Mando Fan Show for the Gallery episode for the season 2 finale that we had last week. Definitely go head over to our pod feeds and on YouTube to hear it. But we have a really good discussion about Luke and how John made a great point of, they don't necessarily say this is it for Luke. They just say, hey, this is how we did it. And isn't that cool? We can bring Luke back. But there was no definitive answer of like, this is the end of us seeing Luke, or this is the last time we're going to see Luke, which leaves it wide open that we're going to see him again. And I think we all agreed on that. So I think with James's opinion of how they should both meet and John's opinion how they're obviously going to bring him back again, I think if you combine those things in the perfect kind of Star Wars sandwich, it makes sense that it would be in this series, because they're two characters that have this strong connection with Anakin Skywalker, and they're both, like John said, in their prime. And you have Filoni talking about how Ahsoka is his senior and she's more skilled at fighting than him, and they have two very different fighting styles. Like, what cooler way to show that off and to show the difference between the two time periods of Jedi than having them have this weird kind of interaction where they're like fighting at first, but then they're like, wait a second. It would just be really cool. And I know that's similar to what the Mandalorian and Ahsoka had, so you're like, oh, I don't want to see that again. But I think it's a little different when it's Luke Skywalker. And James has said it before, but like, these two characters really do need to meet. It's kind of silly that they haven't yet. You know, it's kind of crazy because they're just so connected in this way. But yeah, I totally think they will.
And you know what? Like, Mando kind of did this maybe too much, where people were like, all right, so this is like a adventure of the week thing or whatever, but
sure,
you could I don't know how many episodes Ahsoka's going to be. I believe they said it's a limited series, though, if I remember correctly.
Well, I think because she already knows Grogu, it would be interesting to bring Grogu back into it, and she'd be like, oh, I know you, little one, and then there's Luke.
Right.
You know, like, that's the connection there already, too, outside of, obviously, Anakin Skywalker, but...
Yeah, like, so you could do like, let's break up the season and have Luke and Ahsoka meet, and that meeting can't be because of all of the history and all the things we're bringing up on things that they can talk about, that we can witness that conversation, like a fly on the wall. Like, what bigger conversation do you want to be a fly on the wall between Star Wars characters than Ahsoka Tano meeting Luke Skywalker?
Right.
And it's like, you know, like if you, like, I know we're doing a podcast, but if you're listening to a podcast or you're listening to an interview on a radio show or wherever, and you're like, man, I hope they ask this. I really hope. That's what you want out of that conversation. You're like, man, are they going to talk about how they both fought him as Vader? Are they both going to talk about like what he was like? Is he going to ask her what he was like when he was younger? Like, what was my father? You know, because he asked Obi-Wan that, and Obi-Wan, you know, kind of gave him the runaround a little bit.
Right.
But so there's just so many things they could talk about, and seeing that realized and being like, oh, wow, Ahsoka just mentioned that. I remember seeing that in the Clone Wars. Or, you know what I'm saying? There's so much that they can do with that conversation.
And two different types of fans. You have prequel kind of Clone Wars-y fans and original trilogy fans, and you're putting them together.
Yes, that's a great point. So I feel like because it's this thing that has been built up for so long, because they both had these different paths that rooted from Anakin Skywalker, you almost feel like they have to dedicate almost an entire episode to it, where they're talking. And I'm not saying like literally just talking for a full episode, but it has to be a lengthy exchange.
Because two different ideas too. You have to remember, I want to hear James talk about this, but they're two different Jedis with two different opinions of the Jedi. You have Luke, who's kind of just like, I love the Jedi. I'm bringing the Jedi back. Like, oh, I'm learning so much. I want to learn everything there is to know. And then you have Ahsoka in The Mandalorian, who's just like, nah, I don't do that anymore. I'm not getting involved in that stuff, right?
Sure.
Okay, so here's some interesting thoughts. Number one, Ahsoka has definitely a jaded view of the
right. It's Luke
Jedi.
from The Last Jedi,
now,
basically.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. There's a good potential that because she has such a jaded understanding of the Jedi, and when he first decides he wants to be a Jedi, and we're going through the original trilogy, even by the end of Return of the Jedi, he seems to be very optimistic on this religion, on this idea of it.
Right.
But when we get to Last Jedi, he kind of explains it, and this goes into Rian Johnson and every sort of Last Jedi defender, is you can be excited about a new idea or a new thing that you're going to do. And the more you learn about it, you're like, I'm sticking to this, but maybe it's not as great as I thought it was. There's a lot of rough history that comes with the Jedi, and maybe they're not necessarily a good thing for the galaxy as a religion, as whatever. And part of that could be meeting Ahsoka and saying, I was just like you, Luke. I learned so much and I was very optimistic around the Jedi, but then this type of mentality really messed with things and it caused a bunch of problems. And I saw it firsthand. That's why I don't call myself a Jedi anymore. The Force is not the problem, but the religion of the Jedi, this group, this name, that's a problem.
It's funny you say that because like in The Last Jedi, and this is my own personal kind of issues with it, is like I always felt like, oh, I don't know how Luke got to this point. And I think that was kind of something I was grappling with even when The Last Jedi came out. But then to see it reflected in Ahsoka in live action, where she's basically saying the same thing back to the Mandalorian, I was like, wait a second, this is like a thing. This isn't just one character. So you're making really good points.
It's very interesting to me to also from a real world perspective, because John, you brought up the point, like we want to be a fly on the wall in this conversation. This episode has to be like the whole episode is this conversation. There's so many questions. It really makes me wonder what they're going to show. They have to show the confrontation. You're going to see it, but it does make me wonder if you're going to have the two of them see each other, get introduced, and then Luke say, like, we have so much to talk about, and then that be it? That's what you get?
Oh,
is that...
jeez. Yeah. Filoni, no! Don't do that.
That's the thing. This is going to be the hardest thing Dave Filoni
has ever
have to write to date. Because he needs to know what he should include, what he shouldn't include. But I think he's the right person for it. Obviously for Ahsoka, but also tying Luke and Ahsoka together. He may even, it wouldn't shock me if he consulted with Lucas about this. This is a big deal in the way they consulted with him about, should we use this species, the Yoda species or whatever, They got his blessing for that. I think that's a conversation that he would probably, and he probably would never reveal that he did, but maybe he calls George Lucas up and says like, we're finally doing this. What do you think? You know what I'm saying? Like, because this is such an important thing. It is definitely going to be to this point anyway. He has a long future ahead of him. The most difficult thing he would have to write for Star Wars.
Because the impact is so big.
This is like how I said, like the Kessel Run, they have to nail it. And they did. And this is like the Kenobi series. They can't mess this up. They have to nail it. This is like my third one of that.
Bringing back Boba Fett was a big deal too. Like they can't
that is a big deal, but like this is 10 times bigger than that. Like this is they can't mess this up, and they know that. So, and that's a lot on Filoni's shoulders.
Yeah. I feel like that being said, like you're 100% right, John. I also have like this feeling that like Filoni has had it like written down in a notebook.
He's drawing his pictures.
He's drawing sketches of them fighting. Yeah.
You've got to think that he's probably considered this confrontation since Clone Wars was still in production.
And
right.
It's not
originally.
Like, we're not saying it's going to be always like the whole thing's going to be a confrontation.
No.
I'm saying confrontation is the two of them are
coming face to face.
just this
conversation, a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's probably considered it as like this huge moment that he would eventually like to tell, and he's probably envisioned it and like fan scripted it in his head in a way for so long that now he probably pitched the idea to John and said that, I think this is gonna land your series, man. Again, that goes back to the Mandalorian thing, but that's where they started seeding all this, is in the Mandalorian. So if it happens there, it happens there. If it happens in Ahsoka, that's fine. But again, I feel like Ahsoka is going to lean heavily on the like Rebel sequel side of it.
Also, don't forget about this. There's been multiple people now who are saying they're confident that Mandalorian season 3 is going to be the last season of the Mandalorian.
Like
I don't
a trilogy.
know if I believe that.
I mean, that makes sense.
But think about that.
I think I was one of the people that said it was only going to have 3 seasons.
No, but I mean,
Really?
people like not people guessing. I'm saying people like reporting this.
Oh, sure. I'm just saying. I think I was one of those people, and you guys were like, "Really?"
If that's true, let's just for argument's sake say that they're ending it after season 3. They want to go out on a high note, right? Fine.
Yeah.
For everyone wants to go do other stuff.
Yeah.
I get it. Whatever. They start filming this month for Mandalorian. And like we said, we're expecting it to come out next fall of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka's not coming out next year. They can do whatever they have to do in the Mandalorian season 3 that will go into what happens in Ahsoka. Where
Right.
Ahsoka's going to happen after Mandalorian's done.
And the crossover happens after that.
So maybe Grogu goes with Ahsoka and becomes a part of this whole let's find Ezra thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you keep him going. So
It's interesting.
There's a lot of
the
there's a lot of
Mandalorian
things they can do
season
there.
3 being the last season is interesting to me, considering if I had to guess right now, I would say 4 seasons.
Right.
And I would say Grogu is not in season 3. They just pull the trigger. They go through the whole thing.
That's
And
crazy.
everybody's like,
Where's
he's with
Grogu?
Luke. Like,
Yeah.
and this is back to the basics. This is that Mandalorian that's like really gruff or whatever. But that 4th season is when things really tie together, and they do the whole Rebels thing where that 4-season arc is just really so
Right.
strong.
Yeah, and that's unsubstantiated stories on that, but multiple people have been, I guess, putting that out there. So don't go telling your family members that Mandalorian's done after season 3. We don't know. We're just saying that's what's been going around.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, I just want people. I don't have too much more on this from my perspective, but
I just had this thought. I was like, John, we know this is going to happen because they got to keep cranking out those gallery episodes. And what better to do a gallery episode than the making of the season finale of,
Yeah. All I want is like for our listeners to really just like close your eyes and in your head, just picture the fact that there's a good chance we're going to see Luke Skywalker meeting Ahsoka Tano in live action. Just think about that sit on that for a moment and realize that may be a very true reality within the next year or two. And I mean, that's just
bananas.
Serotonin. That's serotonin right there. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I'm very excited for it. Again, I still kind of picture it in the campfire setting, and I picture the two of them sitting on opposite sides.
Fall James Baney is here.
If that no, that's true. But I think there's a lot of free range to getting away with special effects when you have the lighting there. So they don't have to be as crazy with the budget because they can hide it. They can make and still make it look better or more realistic in the fire setting, even though they came out before just guns blazing, like pure perfect lighting. They did
Buns
that thing.
glazing?
But I think
Did you almost say buns glazing?
no, I don't know where I was going with it, but the thing is, like, I think that they can really hide the special effects while still making it just look like 100% real if they do a little bit of shadow hiding and stuff like that. Plus, I think it's just a very intimate setting. It feels very Anakin's in the fire, you know what I mean? Between them kind of thing. There's like lots of symbolism with that as well. But I have a feeling that, like I was alluding to earlier, you can't really show the beginning of this conversation because everybody will get mad. And you can't really show the end of the conversation either, being like, man, that was a great talk, Like, yeah. Or them having already, like, standing next to each other, already having done the conversation. So my my thing is you're probably at some point going to get the snippet, just one segment of their conversation, which has to do with exactly what we were discussing. And I think Luke will get the final word. She'll say something that's along the lines of like, but the Jedi did this, and that's why they, it can't be the way that it is. And we'll know that that's seeding, that's in his head, but it will still be optimistic Luke. And he say, but blah, 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 and deliver the line that's just going to make us be like, holy crap, that is an amazing meetup. And then that's when they'll get interrupted or somebody will walk up to it or whatever. But again, I don't like to write these in my head.
James is getting so pumped right now. He's about to start writing a fanfic about Ahsoka and Luke meeting up.
My thing is like, if they don't do it, they'll do it in a different way, and it will be fine. But that is the way that in my head makes the most sense. And anytime I try to divert from it, I go, it just seems a little strange. Like for instance, part of this is, were we going to see Luke in a live action lightsaber duel? Maybe, but those characters seem pleasant with each other. And I can't really imagine a scenario where the two of them are like, like clashing.
Oh,
as
sure,
cool as it is, as cool
unless they
as
were
it could
training or
possibly
something.
be.
Yeah.
It just seems a little tough to believe, but
if James Baney was Dave Filoni.
Here we go. Oh yeah, campfire
with s'mores with peanut butter cups.
Yeah. I get a meeting with Filoni for a pitch on season 5 of Mandalorian or something, and I'm like, here it is.
There's a campfire. Hear me out.
Instead of Taika with EXT space, it's EXT fire pit.
Yeah. And they're like, we did that, with the Ahsoka Luke meetup. And he's like, I know, and it was great, but it's bigger this time. Bigger bonfires, what I should be pitching. You're like, yeah.
Remember Return of the Jedi? 2 of those. Just doubled it. Double the size.
Yeah, just make it bigger. Yeah.
No, but just to wrap up, I guess my final thought on this is, we recently got that comic where it was like Kira versus Darth Vader. Mm-hmm. And, we kind of eye rolled at it a little bit. And it wasn't until after we recorded the podcast that I saw a fan commenting on how cool of a meetup that was, that it was the apprentice of Obi-Wan versus the apprentice of Darth Maul. And the symbolism of this big, these two people that have had this, hatred or rivalry for so long, like when that ends, what do their students do, and how, to see them clash against each other is still pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it just started making me thinking a lot about that legacy of characters and things that we've spent a lot of time with. And it's that cool thing. It's like Kylo Ren versus Rey, both of them being tied to Luke Skywalker in one way or another. It's so interesting when you see the people who were so close with other people, and now when they meet up and what their stories are going to be. And this, we've said it so many times, is probably number 1,
the biggest.
It's got to be. It's the son of Darth Vader looking of Anakin Skywalker, and the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker when he was still a light-sided Jedi. It's just so big.
And it's the two worlds of animation and live action coming together. The stories of George Lucas with Dave Filoni, and it's everything.
And it's cool too, because you're probably going to see him wearing black and her wearing white.
Oh yeah.
It's just so cool, man.
Well, maybe. Happen. Yeah, she was wearing like dark gray and Mando, but yeah.
She was, but they've already shown her as this, we're getting ready to lead and go into the
at the end of Rebels,
Ezra storyline at the end of Rebels with the white cloak and all this. And
does she
I was called that
at
once? Yes, Gandalf.
Gandalf.
Gandalf the Grey is what they
remind me,
me.
I haven't watched the episode in a while. Did Ahsoka allude at all to knowing that Anakin turned? Or could that be something Luke also reveals to her?
She makes there is a line she says. She goes like, I've seen people fall. Remember, she makes that really like depressing line. Like,
no, I mean, come back. Him like redeem himself.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about that, but I just remember the one line where she's like, I've seen the best of us fall or something like that.
No, yeah, that. Yeah. Well, yeah, she obviously knows he fell, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's a good point, John, is that I don't necessarily know that she is aware that he was redeemed. I don't know who would have told her that.
Maybe Luke's gotta.
Do we not already have something?
That's going to be it.
What am I blanking on? I feel like Luke already has said this in the end, that in the end he turned back. Like, you're wrong about that. Is there not something in canon where Luke is telling someone?
I don't know about that, but the Last Jedi, Rey,
Luke Skywalker?
He has to, because Rey says to him, "You brought back a Sith." She says that to him when she's talking about, like,
and he said, "At what cost?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so then that's kind of the broader understanding of the legend. But
wouldn't that make sense to maybe that's the end of their conversation is like she says like, "Yeah, but look what happened to your father," and he's like, he tells her the exact thing that happened at the end of Return of the Jedi or whatever.
And that's the line is that, he's
no one's ever really
like, gone. Oh,
you're yeah. But that's not true, or you're wrong. In the end, he returned, the Jedi came back, and I will keep that hope alive for as long as I live, or something like that. And that I just can't imagine somebody walking up at that moment, so that
right.
I feel like you're gonna have to really soak in Ahsoka's reaction to that.
Right.
I know we're up on time here, but the only thing that will need some sort of answer for me is then why wouldn't Anakin have any time ever visited Ahsoka as a Force ghost? So
I don't know.
But
they already have Hayden Christensen on the payroll.
Just shoot some extra scenes.
Oh my God.
That
looks
just
like
John was like,
Ahsoka,
"Yep, there you go," and then it clicked what I was alluding to.
And he just walks around the side of a tree. He's like, "Hello."
Yeah. Now,
that would be nuts if you had Hayden talking to Ahsoka. Oh my God
almighty. We have to stop. We have to continue this later. That's insane.
But yeah,
James. That's
everybody
insane.
thinks this is the episode where these two characters meet, and it's gonna be nuts. And then little do they know that she's gonna be like, "But he fell, I know."
And then he'd be like,
that was the dark. The dark always takes over.
Yeah,
and he goes,
exactly.
"That's not true. I'll let him save myself." And then he walks behind the tree.
Luke's just like, "Dad?"
Like, Luke has consistently been in communion with his father after this point.
Oh my God. Wow.
All right, we're nuts. We're off the rails.
Yeah. I'm like,
we're dreaming.
like Carrie Fisher and her role in Austin Powers are just like, we have to stop.
Yeah.
Okay, so let us know what you think in the comments. Obviously, we did a lot of tail end fun tinfoil's hat speculating there, but just knowing that this is probably going to happen, more importantly, let us know what you think, and obviously share the episode with your friends, quote tweet it if you're on Twitter with your thoughts, hit us up in the comments on YouTube and all that stuff. Engage with us, let us know if there's any points that we missed that you want to bring up. So thank you all for hopefully enjoying that discussion, but now we're going to send it to for our final segment of the D to Lacey Gillerman.
All right, guys, it's time for Resistance Transmissions. So here on TRB, we like to do Resistance Transmissions, and it's a segment where John will put up a crazy, wacky situation on Twitter, and you guys give your answers via our account at RBATSWNN, so make sure to follow us there and look out for it. And then I read them here, and we have a good laugh usually. All right. So the scenario is, as if Mace Windu's death was not enough, Palpatine has saddled Windu's next of kin, his brother Tom Windu, with the bill to replace the glass window they shattered in their duel. What does the letter from the office of Sheev Palpatine say to Tom Windu? Why Tom?
It's just a very earthy name.
Okay.
Bob Windu.
Not Steve.
Like when people say like, Darth Vader's brother Steve Vader, or
Joe,
just
yeah.
Make it.
Oh,
yeah.
Fred Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. First up is Mello at A Grey Jedi. Hey, Mello. Mello said, it's an email. So it says, from Office of the Emperor to Tom Windu, CEO. We are trying to reach you because the extended warranty we purchased for the Windu Windows company is denying our claim. Apparently, it does not cover maces. Please advise, respectfully, Sheev Palpatine.
Respectfully.
Next is Mark at Kind of Vacants. Hey, Mark, he said, we regret to inform you Mace Windu fell to his doom during his attempt on the life of newly and legally appointed Emperor Palpatine. We know this is sad news for you, but remember after the rain comes a rainbow. And at the end of the rainbow is a bill for $45,000 due Friday. Oh my god.
Wow.
Next is Kyle B at Luke's Green Saber. Hey Kyle. Kyle said, Tom, the attack on my life has not only left me scarred and deformed, but also without a window. I have unlimited power, but even Sheevy Babes doesn't have unlimited credits. Before you throw your credits out the window, LOL, on a memorial for a murderer, send them to me. Do it.
Wow, a lot of Easter eggs in that one, Kyle. Good job.
Well done, Kyle. Next is Blog of the Hut at Blog of the Hut. Blogga, where you been, Blogga?
We're blogging, probably.
Blog has been missing. Dear Mr. T. Windu, I can't see the Coruscant skyline thanks to the tarp covering the window your brother smashed. You will pay for my lack of vision. And there's
nice.
Was that 2 exclamation points? Also, please come in person so we can match your DNA to the barbecued puddle of goop at the floor of my building. Do it. Sheev.
That's more of a Palpatine email if I ever heard one.
Next is Haas Aslam at Haas Aslam or underscore Haas Aslam. Hey Haas. He said, Tom Windu, it has been decided. Windu's windows will be invoiced for the bill to replace the pane broken by your brother as he leapt out of it to look for his arms last night. The party's over. You have until Monday. The Emperor. I love
you have until Monday.
I love the party's over. That's a party.
Nothing harsher than invoicing somebody on what I imagine is a Friday afternoon.
Is party's over a Samuel L. Jackson joke?
I think so.
Like,
this party's over.
Yeah.
And
Mace Windu joke.
Yeah. Last but not least is Neil at Lowry Neil. Hey Neil, how's it going? He said,
hey, buddy.
To Mr. Windu, unfortunately, it was my duty to force lightning his body or his booty. Okay.
It rhymes.
But my booty's saying no.
Okay, let me restart that. To Mr. Windu, unfortunately, it was my duty to force lightning his booty. This Jedi failed to give me the shaft. Now you owe me a window. Do it.
A shaft Easter egg. This was a very Easter egg loaded Resistance
Well
transmission.
done, guys. That was really good. Enjoyed it. If you guys want to be a part of the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. And back to John.
All right. Yes. Thanks, everybody, for listening and watching, being a part of TRB. Make sure you do subscribe to the show on your preferred audio podcast platform. And, of course, on YouTube, youtube.com/Star Wars Newsnet videos. Subscribe and get the notifications with the bell. So every time we have a new video, which is not just the podcast, a bunch of other videos, you'll get a notification. You can hop in and enjoy what we got going on. In terms of our patrons, we do have to do a special shout out to our generals and spice runners. So a big thank you to Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Paul Olson, Jake Houchins, Oliver Lewis, Frank Grande, Haz Islam, Joe Ritchie, Darth Hurricane, John Charlton, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, and Val Trichkoff, and our Spice Runners, David Probus, Neil Shaw, Double C, Chris, who's next up on our Spice Run this month, Kendall Gellner, Ryan Wara, Dave Hornack, and Micah Harrison. Thank you all for all your support, and all of our patrons. You are making sure our future is secure, what we want to do here, and we can't thank you enough. If you look back at old videos of TRB from a couple years ago and compare them to now, that's also because of your support, so thank you so much. Make sure you're also going to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, writing and editing at StarWarsNewsNet.com, and I do a nostalgic podcast on non-Star Wars stuff with my buddy Mike, and that is called Just Like the Movies on all podcast platforms. Lacey.
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin. I had someone, by the
get
way,
it-
ask me recently if it bothered me that people knew my full name, that people knew who I was. Someone asked me
How
that.
does it?
Because my handles
I don't-
are my full name. So people were like, are you worried that people know? And I'm like, nah. I
Yeah, why would they be worried?
don't know. I'm not worried about it. Come say hi. We'll have
Yeah.
a
I
good
know
time.
his name is Tom Cruise. Like, does that change anything?
Yeah.
And Lacey, I assume since it's September, you're already beginning your planning for Halloween decorating, right?
So I don't want to be lame right now, but I think this year I'm skipping Halloween.
Well, that's all right. You got bigger things going on.
Yeah, I kind of have like a new life forming. So
Yeah, right.
I kind of just feel like, hey, maybe this year we just don't do that. I might move right to Christmas so I don't have to do Christmas decorating
Oh,
later.
yeah.
So I might be that psycho that puts up Christmas decorations earlier than everyone else.
Just, make sure your house is completely done in Christmas, like overdone in Christmas decorations on Halloween.
So then
Perfect.
I don't have to do it later because, baby's coming in November and I won't
You guys
have
can
to
do like the clauses, like that's your outfit for Halloween.
Oh my God, yeah.
And you're out there like, ho, 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 trick or treat. And you're
I
like giving
do-
candy to kids and stuff. They're like, what is going on?
I do need to try the new apple crisp macchiato. I have heard fabulous things. That is the new thing this year for Starbucks. So, gotta try it.
Very interesting. All right, James. When you're not building fires, where can people hit you up?
Twitter and Instagram at Meyer Trunks, and also on this channel doing book discussions with Kyle Larson. We did Tempest Runner, as I mentioned on Monday's episode, but it is out now, so you can go check it
Yeah.
out. That's discussion. And if you didn't read the book or you're not interested in reading it, whatever, there is a What Happened, so you can just get the brief, 10-minute version of the story, the plot, spoilers and all.
Also,
Right here.
I know
Target
you.
audience.
I know you pitched this as, hey, if you don't want to read the book, James and Kyle do such a great job at giving you all the breakdowns of everything, and then the connections to all the other books, and then all the other books outside of the High Republic, and all the themes. So it's not just like, hey, get all this. You get all this other stuff too that makes you feel really smart. So highly recommend.
It's like it's like the kid in school who gives you all the answers to the test or writes your paper for you. That's James and Kyle.
This one was a good one too. I feel like they did a really good job with the writing process as well, as far as the way the story
wrote that
lined
one?
up and it bookends. Kevin Scott.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah,
he is
but
having a year, man. Kevin is killing it.
I know, man. But yeah, it's just it's Lorna D, and she gets revitalized, if you
Nice.
will, in this story. So go check it out.
Cool.
Right on. And that's it for us here. We hope everyone has a wonderful Labor Day weekend. If you're doing anything, be safe, have fun, and enjoy a long weekend. But we will still have an episode out Monday, so whether you're doing the last bastion of summer, what have you, pop us on and enjoy us, and we'll see you then right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.
Bye.